Alas, the NBA resumes this week, and we have actual games in a matter of days. Welcome into Daily Wager. I'm Doug Kezirian, alongside Preston Johnson and Joe Fortenbaugh. Fellas, let's talk about this Lakers-Clippers game because there have been so many storylines. First, it was the Lakers being without a couple point guards, and now Lou Williams will miss the game, a little hoopla surrounding his dinner choice one night. So now the Clippers are going to have to do it without Lou Williams on opening night, and we see the line movement over the last month. It was a pick 'em, and it's now 4.5. That's a lot of points, Preston. What do you make of this line move?
Well, Lou Williams is not worth 4.5 points to a point spread, especially the ones from 0 to 4.5, which are super valuable. This has a lot to do with the fact that Patrick Beverley had to leave the bubble, Montrezl Harrell. It took a while for Zubac before he could get there. And there are a lot more question marks outside of Lou Williams. And so for me, it's hard to assess it at 4.5, where I'm going to be betting it either way until we know for sure. Now, Montrezl Harrell and Patrick Beverley have arrived in Orlando, and they're waiting to be cleared to play, and they expect that to be the case. But until that's official, I'm not going to be firing on the Clippers. I will say this, though. If you like the Lakers, this is like buying the top. I don't think it's ever going to get higher than 4.5, even if Beverley and Harrell had to miss a game. So wait and be patient if you want to play the Lakers. If those guys go, then the number's going to come right back down. So I think the key here is if you like the Clippers and you don't really care about those other guys, play them now. Wait if you're going to back the Lakers.
Yeah, for me at this number, it's Clippers or pass, right? 5 is the most key number, most common outcome in the NBA. So you want to get to that. It's not, I agree with you, Preston. It's not going to get to that. We talked about this last time, and I like the Lakers at pick. I think they're more focused. They're going all in. A lot of these teams, we're not really sure what to expect until the playoffs begin. Motivation, effort, I question. I think the Lakers get the win, but I can't lay 4.5 with this Lakers team. I liked it at pick. Joe, what about you?
I'm looking at the total here. It's sitting around 216, 216.5, and I want to play the under. Take this with a grain of salt, but in 3 meetings between the two teams during the regular season, they combined to average 215.3 points per game. They had a final with 214, a final with 217, and a final with 215. So this is right on that number. It's 2 teams that rank in the top 5 in defensive efficiency, but I think the Lakers are coming to play. Alex Caruso skipped his sister's wedding in order to stay in the bubble. And there was the report that LeBron James has been running these 5-on-5 scrimmages in a private basketball court in Beverly Hills or Bel Air during the quarantine. They're going to show up ready to rock and roll. And I think Preston can speak to this as well. Preston, when the Lakers started the season for like the first 20 or so games, weren't they first in defensive efficiency? They really came to play defense earlier in the year, and then the grind of the season caught up with them, and it petered off a little bit. I think this is going to be an intense game. I like the under on the 216.5 number.
Yeah, behind that defense, they've basically been the 1 seed in the West all season. Let's keep it moving now to Friday's showdown for Battle of Texas and Florida. Rockets and Mavs pick them with an over-under of 226. Look, I lean to the Rockets here just because they kind of know who they are. They've known who they are for a while. They have adopted the small ball. They're all in. Westbrook and Harden obviously looks like he's in lean shape. So I lean to the Rockets, but we really don't know what to expect, so I can't do more than just that. Preston, what about you? What stands out here?
So my look is to these totals, and I think it's just kind of encompassing all of these regular season games and the markets on the totals as a whole, because we've looked and seen that these numbers are a lot lower than what they would have been had these teams matched up at the end of March. People are expecting, oh, well, they're huge layoff, right? 4 months plus off without really playing basketball. The new rims in the bubble in Orlando on courts they've never played in. Well, I've been following these exhibition games. There's been 3 for each team that they've played. A lot of starters have been playing anyway. There really hasn't been a drop in offensive efficiency as a whole. I think this has kind of gotten out of hand. You look at this matchup particularly, Mavs-Rockets. Look, they played, I believe it was just a couple months ago, they had a total was 237. They ended up scoring 249 points. They played previously, I think, at the end of November, the total was 229.5. They scored 260 points. So just looking at the most recent matchup, the market's 237. Now it's 226, a drop of 11 points. Maybe there is some effect to this bubble or to the layoff, but it's not worth 11 points. And then these two teams, number 1 and number 2 in offensive efficiency, were flying over the totals numbers anyway when they met. So I like over 226. I would stay away from this side. I'm with you, Doug. I think it can go either way.
Yeah, fair enough. Joe, what about you? I mean, that's something you can maybe watch Thursday's game, get a feel for things, and then bet on Friday's action during the Thursday night action. Joe?
I love Preston's line. I've been following these scrimmage games. If by following you mean betting all of them, yeah, you've been following them all right. I love to hear that you like the over here because that's where I am as well. Both teams have a very high effective field goal percentage. They're 5th and 6th, Dallas and Houston respectively, but neither team has a great defensive rating. So again, you have to take a lot of that with a grain of salt because we've had the layoff. But Preston's right. This number's at 226. These two teams ran the scores up the 2 times they got together earlier in the season. If they come even close to that, they should go over this by 5-6 points easy.
And then on Saturday afternoon, we have an Eastern Conference clash, Sixers and Pacers. This number keeps trickling up. Now, Philly -5.5. Pacers do have Victor Oladipo seemingly at full strength as we watch him in these scrimmages, but no Sabonis for Indiana. The All-Stars out of the bubble right now. Joe, who's the deciding factor here in this matchup?
It's going to be Oladipo. He's down there and he's looking good, but I haven't seen him fully commit to deciding whether or not he's going to play just yet. So until that happens, I'm going to kind of hold back to see what the market does. The last thing you want to do is bring emotion into this type of stuff, right? Preston talks about that all the time and he's dead right. The problem for me is I'm very emotional when it comes to the Philadelphia 76ers. This was my team growing up and they have been nothing but all talk, no action during this entire process. They won 3 playoff series since 2003. They've never gotten past the second round in the whole trust the process era. Big talker, Betty Crocker. That's what you get out of Philadelphia. So I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. If they want to go out there and they want to show it this year, that's great. I'll root them on. But it's going to be really tough for me to get behind laying numbers in these situations, especially if Oladipo is going to play with a team that's going to move Simmons to point forward for at least some of this. They're doing some experimenting. They've been a big letdown in the past. Emotionally, I'm too tied up. Preston, my brain's like a pretzel. I'm sure you can do a better job with this than I am.
Yeah, Preston, I'm going to get your take, but real quick, I've been loving this Sixers team. And, hey, Ben Simmons is now a three-point shooter, right? No, but they did develop some of their three-point shooters off the bench when those guys were hurt. They played valuable minutes, guys like Shake Milton starting in January, February, and March when those guys were banged up. So now they have some scoring off the bench to replace what they lost last year with Redick and even Butler as well. So I feel comfortable with this Sixers team, 25-1 to win it all too. But I can't lay 5.5. This number's got priced out. I'm priced out on it right now. Preston, what stands out here for you?
It's the total again. I just think the market in the majority of these cases has overreacted. And then when we talk about adjustments and what Philadelphia is doing, I think it theoretically makes their offense more efficient. You're taking more non-shooters off the court, moving Ben Simmons to the 4, putting Shake Milton starting at point guard, who shot over 45% from 3 this season, over 54% overall. And then you look at the Pacers side. Look, it was announced, the news came down that Sabonis is going to miss the rest of the season. He's been one of their best players and most impactful guy, especially defensively. They're 5 points better per 100 with Sabonis, played in over 2,100 minutes this season. And when you look back to the 2 times they met in January when Sabonis played, these totals were 215. It's only 211. I like the over at 211. The Sixers offense projects to be better. No Sabonis, so the Pacers defense should be worse. They've also been picking up the pace slightly in exhibitions, their scrimmages, but still it is a thing the last few games for Indiana. I like over at 211.
Got an NCAA tournament feels. Games will be going on all day and throughout the day into the night, and it gets going Thursday, and finally we can talk some hoops and have, I know Preston's been betting, but real games that matter, that count to fire on.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.